Welcome to the very first episode of Behind the Sermon, a podcast where we take a few minutes to go deeper into Sunday's message, talk about what didn't make it into the sermon, and look at how we can live it out during the week. This week, Pastor Cody preached Bring It Back from Ephesians 4, verses 11 through 16, a vision message about intentional discipleship, community, mission, and leadership. Cody, let's start simple. What was really behind this sermon?
This message has been months in the making. Since the end of November, when we knew that we were coming to Clear Fork, I started praying for God to give me a clear vision of where we were going as a church. And I fell upon the idea that healthy churches don't just happen. Healthy disciples don't just happen. And healthy community doesn't just happen. At some point, we have to decide that we're going to be intentional about becoming the people God has called us to be. And that's really where this message came from.
All right, so the title Bring It Back sounds nostalgic. You used a lot of nostalgic things in the introduction, like old TVs, film cameras, vinyl records, school starting back. But you weren't really calling people to go backwards, were you?
Not at all. The whole point was that methods change, but priorities don't. Technology has changed, styles have changed, programs have changed, the way we do ministry has changed, but God's design for His church hasn't changed. So when I say bring it back, I'm not saying let's go back to the way church used to be, but I'm saying let's bring back some of the things that we used to be centered on, like discipleship, community, missions, leadership development. Those are not old-fashioned church ideas, but those are biblical priorities.
Your first point was bring it back intentional discipleship. Why did you start there?
Because everything really flows from this one thing. In Ephesians 4, Paul says, leaders are given to the church to equip the saints for the work of ministry. The goal is maturity, not attendance or activity or more knowledge, but become more and more Christ-like. We confuse transformation with information. We have more access to biblical teaching than ever before, but little transformation.
And that leads us directly into triads. So what are you hoping triads accomplish?
So triads are really going to be designed to be a space to be known, where three people have intentional time together, searching through Scripture, praying for one another, and holding each other accountable. That's probably a lot different than our Sunday morning Bible studies, than our gathering times of worship. But then it's also going to be a time for encouragement. And we move from questions like, how are you doing, to questions like, what is God teaching you? Where are you struggling? What do you need prayer for? What's the next step of obedience look like? It's hard to do this in Sunday morning Bible study, in church services, even in life groups that we're also going to launch. But when you shrink it down to a circle of three, everyone is known. So triads are not about adding anything onto our list or another meeting. They're about creating intentional relationships where discipleship can actually happen, where we can have life-on-life discipleship, and where the rubber actually meets the road in our lives.
Your second point is bring back intentional community. So how is that different from discipleship?
So I think they actually overlap, but they serve different purposes. Triads are intentionally focused on spiritual growth. Life groups are about doing life together. I've heard it said that people need people. I think every person needs at least one person in their life that they can count on, that they can call out to, that when something's going wrong, they don't have the fear to talk to them, and they need someone. Attending church every Sunday, but still being lonely is something that happens. So whenever we break it down to smaller groups, triads are that intentional community. Life groups are going to be a little bit larger. Maybe you have a triad with a husband in one and a wife in the other, but they're in the same life group together. You can sit beside the same person week after week and never know them. You may know their name, may know some cool facts about them, but to know their faults, their failures, their fears is really knowing someone. Life groups create a space where people move from being faces in a room to family. They can celebrate together. They can grieve together. They can pray together. They're going to share meals with one another. They can show up when life gets hard. That's biblical community, and I think that is very, very intentional.
So, what if someone says, I come to church every Sunday? Isn't that enough?
So, Sundays are the best, and I think they're really important. But alone, they don't provide everything that we need whenever we think about biblical community. Church has never been designed to be an audience, but it is a body. Paul says joined together and held together. That means that connections matter. You can be in a sports team and not be known. You can be in the band and not be known. You can be in a play and play a character but not be known. You're supposed to be known when you're at church. When you're off, people need to know it. When something's wrong with you, people that are close to you can tell. I'm sure your mom and dad know whenever you don't feel well. I know when you haven't had enough coffee in the morning yet. It is very intentional to know and to build community and to know one another. And some things are meant to be celebrated. So being able to have that in a group where we can mourn together, where we can laugh together, where we can have fun together, where we can dive in to study God's word, but also where our kids can be in the room with us and see us worship and see us study. People tend to speak truth to us and love us enough to walk with us. That's why community has to be intentional. It matters, and it's hard sometimes, but it is so worth fighting for. That's why we're going to do triads. That's why we're adding even a little bit bigger group with life group.
Yeah, that's good. So your third point moves outside of the walls of the church, and it says to bring back intentional mission. So why is that so important to include?
If all we're doing is growing inward, eventually we become unhealthy and die. Healthy people reproduce. Healthy plants reproduce. Healthy churches look outward to see people's hearts. So hopefully we can see people turn their hearts towards Jesus. Not just mission trips. I don't want people to be confused by that. But your workplace becomes your mission field. Your school becomes your mission field. Your neighborhood, your teams, your family. God has placed us with the people that we're with for a reason.
That's good. You said Sunday that outreach begins with relationships. So what do you mean by that?
People can tell when they are projects, and people should never be projects. We should genuinely love people. We should genuinely want to serve people, to listen to people. We want to naturally build relationships, and that's just who we are. So think about it this way. Two moms have boys that are on the same football team, little league football team, or little league baseball team, or a basketball team together. And they're around each other week in and week out. They share the same interest of their kids. They share the same interest in music. They start noticing one another kind of dressing the same way. So maybe they have an interest in fashion together. Maybe they drive one of the same cars. I don't know. But we will naturally be drawn to people that are like us. So we want to build relationships, and it's just natural. Then we get the opportunity after we've built a relationship with them to tell them about Jesus. And that's what we're saying when we say intentional missions, not mission trips, not a planned trip to this, that, or the other, but intentionally going across the street and loving our neighbor, intentionally seeing people where they're at, and seeing that God has intentionally placed us in each other's paths.
That's good. I like that. Okay, so your last point, it brings us to bring back intentional leadership. And so my question is, why does leadership development matter so much?
Well, because no church stays healthy long term if the same people are doing everything.
Mm.
And I think I may have offended some people whenever I talked about our older folks.
Yeah.
Our older generation has done so well. For 25 years, Clear Fork has been in the exact same place and has held the exact same mission. And they have done it so well.
Yeah.
And you look around at the older saints, the mature saints, right? We're not going to call them old people.
Right.
But the mature saints, man, they have done so well with this that look at the facilities we have.
Yeah.
Look at the acreage that we have around us. Look at the intentional community that we have built. We have ladies that meet on Thursdays for like 2 to 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours with our women at the well. And that has been because someone stepped up and said, I think we need a time for ladies. So that's been intentional. That group has tried to grow new leaders out of it. So we need to go back and to remember that every group needs to be pouring into somebody. So eventually people will get tired. Sometimes people will move. We'll see a leader change, and we'll see that leadership over generations change. Healthy churches are constantly developing new people, not titles, but leaders. So just like the women at the well, they have produced the next leader of their group. We have triads starting. Hopefully, as our leaders that have been train up the 3 that they're with, one of them can say, hey, I think I can do this. And they'll lead that triad and go to another triad and start their own. Very, very, very intentional. I hope we also see where we have kids that come up through our children's ministry and become leaders when they're in the 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
Whenever they get into junior high, their 6th grade year, they figure out junior high. It's very scary. I dropped my kid off for junior high this week, and I'm like scared for her. 6th grade is tough, right?
It's tough.
But as she gets older and to 7th grade and 8th grade, I hope that she's a leader in our junior high ministry and pouring into those 6th graders. And I also hope that as she moves into her junior and senior year, she's moving to leading in our youth group in some way, shape, form, or fashion. My oldest 2 are already doing this. They lead in worship. They're helping the church be led in worship. So the other part of this is leadership is influence. We all have someone watching. And if we know Jesus and we have somebody that we're pouring into, where do we need to be pointing them to? We need to be pointing them to Jesus. We need people to pour into people, to walk with, to teach. We love to see each ministry thinking this way. Who am I training up? Who am I developing? Who can step into this role one day? That is how we pass the baton. And I use the example of a relay race. And I probably just totally skipped your question. But
No. I was just thinking about that. I was going to ask you about that. So go ahead.
So a relay, there's an area where they have to pass the baton, right?
Yeah.
And they have this little segment of the track that they have to pass it in between. And if they don't, then they're disqualified. Yeah. I even made the joke about the 4x1600. They run a lap. And whenever I was in school, you had you could drop the baton as long as it didn't go off the track. Yeah, you could grab it and go. But now I think they've changed it. Yeah. But you pass the baton and you're done. Your race is over. You step off the track and you continue on with the race. And the next person takes it and runs it. I wanted to use the analogy of football. The quarterback gets the ball from the center, and what do? They have to hand it off. Yeah,
no idea.
Brooke is like, go sports.
No idea.
But you have to hand the ball off, or you have to throw the ball, or you have to decide to run with it. And normally we can get a lot further down the field if we work together. And if we are producing the next generation of leaders that is intentional, then our church never dies. Our church continues to be healthy. our church continues to grow. We have someone that has had the baton passed to them, and it's just like that relay. It's just like football. Faithfulness isn't about what I do. It is also about what I pass on.
Right. No, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I don't sports, but that's good. I understand your analogy. Okay, so if all this works out the way that you have in mind and that you're hoping for, what do you hope that Clear Fork looks like in the next few years from now?
I hope we're healthier. I want everyone here to have people, every believer to have someone helping them grow, and that person has someone that they're pouring into. Every family has a place. Every ministry is raising up new leaders. Every member understands that they have to live on missions. I want students discipling students. I want adults investing in young adults. I want older, mature believers pouring into the next generation. And I want our community to know that we love them. I don't want to be the church that becomes a country club or becomes a cruise ship. But I think about the idea of a battleship. Everything has a purpose. Everything we do intentionally. And that's why that intentional came back over and over in my mind for the last few months, that if we're intentional with discipleship, we will see disciples make disciples. If we're intentional in community, our community will continue to grow. Our community will know that we love them. Our community will know, hey, I've got a problem. Where do I go? Well, I go to Clear Fork. Why? Because those people love us. I want us to be intentional about our mission. The way that we live outside of these four walls is way more important than how we live in them sometimes. This is a place where we get to love one another, we get to encourage one another, and we get to train up one another. And that's where that intentional leadership comes from.
That's so good. Yeah. So for the listener that's listening to this right now, what's a question that you want them asking after this message?
So I want them asking, what is next? What's my next intentional step? Do I need to join a Sunday morning Bible study? Do I need to figure out, do we have a life group that I fit in? Is someone starting a triad and I mesh with them and we can do life together? Do I need to start serving? That's a big step. If you think about starting in church and being a part of church, everyone's scared that first thing that they come to. And it's normally that they come to a service and they get comfortable coming to church and they get comfortable coming to that service. And then kind of the next intentional step is Sunday school. So let me go to Sunday school. They start going to Sunday school for a while. They start getting to know people. They start figuring out, this group of people meets with that group of people on Sunday nights. And they move from Sunday mornings only to being a part of a life group on Sunday nights. And then they're like, hey, is there more? And they move to Wednesday nights. Well, then they keep asking the question, like, is this it? Is all we do Bible study and life together? Yeah. And then they get to the question, do I need to be investing in someone? And hopefully they start asking the question, do I need to be serving? So I hope we also are asking the question, who do I need to reach out to? Do I need to stop attending and start engaging? Healthy churches don't just happen by accident. And I said that several times on Sunday morning. They are built on intentional disciples. They're built on intentional community. They're built on intentional mission, and they're built on intentional leadership. And we can only be building one intentional disciple at a time.
I think you need to say that again. That was good.
We can only build one intentional disciple at a time.
That was good. That's a good place to end, Cody. That was good. Thank y'all for joining us for this first episode of Behind the Sermon. I hope that these conversations have helped you take what you've heard on Sunday and just carry it out into the rest of your week. We'll see you next time. Okay, wait. Lightning round. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. First one. 1 sentence answer. All right. Discipleship is...
Following Jesus close enough that others can follow you.
Ooh, good. Community is
Community is doing life with people who help you become more Christ-like.
mission is
Mission is living every day aware that God has a place where you need to be for Him.
ooh, good. Okay. Leadership is
Leadership is using your influence to point someone towards Jesus.
our last one. A healthy church is
People intentionally helping people know Jesus and make Jesus known.
that was so good. Winner. I wanted to throw something in there about getting old fast or whatever. What was that you said? We should play the we should play the
We're
clip.
not
We
playing
have to
my
play the
mess up.
clip. Check out our YouTube channel. Wait, a couple more. What's your favorite drink?
Of course, Dr. Pepper.
Of course. Same. Favorite book of the Bible.
Okay, enough, but Ephesians.